It was an average morning. I woke up, I grabbed my phone, and then I went to surf YouTube for a bit while my brain struggled to convince itself that staying in bed and letting myself rot was a bad idea. Nestled between the endless VTuber drama and AAA gaming disaster news that I had grown tired of, I found this trailer for a game called VOIMA. I thought it looked interesting and that maybe I could make a quick video of myself playing it for a bit. And so, with newfound motivation, I pulled myself out of bed, ate a breakfast consisting of toasted waffles and peanut butter with maple syrup, logged onto my computer, went to voima.gg, downloaded the demo, booted up OBS and VTube Studio, and started filming. During that process, my eyes glazed over the note that said that this version was Alpha 1.2, but I didn't exactly register what that meant until I was already 10 minutes into recording. But first I need to step back for a minute. You're probably wondering, what exactly is VOIMA? I'm likely going to title this video something along the lines of Minecraft but with bears. But a more accurate description would be Minecraft mixed with a healthy dose of LSD Dream Emulator on the PlayStation 1. And also there just so happened to be bears for whatever reason. In my initial excitement, I created a new world, expecting the game to randomly generate a forest for me to frolic about in. But then the game dropped me on a flat island in the middle of a lifeless ocean and I was immediately disappointed. So I went back to the main menu and loaded up one of the pre-made worlds instead, Little Dream. I spawned on the edge of a dock leading to a small island that was populated with a handful of wooden cottages and huts, but no one living in them. In the back of one of the huts, I found a shower stall that I think was supposed to be on and pumping out steaming hot water, but to me it looked like a fungal growth that had been left unattended for several years. Back outside, I noticed a satellite dish which told me that whoever did live here had left not too long ago. There were also numerous signs that directed me to go into this creepy old mine shaft, which led back outside on the upper level of the island. What the? Okay. That's interesting. There's a cube. I continued exploring the island for a bit, accidentally enabling the power of flight a couple of times, all while beginning to feel the sensation you get after playing Minecraft on peaceful mode for way too long. Clearly, people were supposed to be here, bears or otherwise, but I was alone. The most interesting thing I found were these ruins at the top of the hill, which had a red block that was painful for me to look at. I killed it. Well, that's one less disturbing graphic to look at, I guess. Eventually, I got bored, and I decided to jump to another world. Tower in the Forest. This time, I spawned in front of a mirror, which reflected half of my screen, including the pack of NPC bears that were running around. Well, at least I'm not alone this time. This was very trippy to look at, until I moved to a spot where the mirror would have to reflect another mirror block, and so it rendered a circuit board instead. Then it became hilarious. I climbed up to the top of the tower, having to cause minor property damage on the way up because the ladders didn't work correctly. And there I found nothing. I continued exploring the different worlds for a bit, and my experience was more or less the same. I'd walk around, spot a few cool structures, occasionally run into more bears who went around their own business, admire some disorientating visuals, get bored, and then leave. One time I found a fan that I thought was completely useless. It wasn't until I rewatched the trailer sometime later that I realized that I could have used it to jump really high. I also found a shotgun that had a lot of kickback but didn't deal any damage. Then I fell to my death. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Amazing. The last world I explored was aptly named Cottage. Shortly after I spawned, I began hearing clicking noises from all around me, and I immediately began to panic. I peeked outside, and I saw that I was surrounded by nightmarish hungry orbs, which I later learned were named Dwan. I sprinted around the cottage, desperately looking for a shotgun, or any sort of weapon to defend myself with, but there was nothing. Seeing no other option, I ran into the forest for dear life, and hoped that none of the Dwans would be fast enough to catch me. Fortunately, none of them seemed to notice my presence. If anything, they were far more interested in biting each other, which explained the angry clicking sounds they were all making. It was at this point that I decided that I had seen everything that this game had to offer. Now, I don't want people to watch this video and get the impression that I don't like VOIMA. Quite the contrary, I really like it. The photorealistic art style, combined with purposefully disorientating shaders and ethereal soundtrack, makes the entire game feel like you're experiencing a dream. Or perhaps a nightmare. It kind of reminds me of Hylix, a game that I recently completed on stream, and I also happen to really like. The in-game editing tools allow you to get very creative with your building, if these worlds are anything to go by. Even in its current state, I think VOIMA would be fun to spend an afternoon in hanging out and messing around with your friends. If only it had multiplayer functionality. But right now, this game is nothing more than an elaborate single-player sandbox. Not that it's bad, I just don't see any point to it. I'd be more than happy to revisit this game after it's had a few more years of development, perhaps after it's graduated from its alpha status. But as of right now, I'm content with seeing occasional screenshots and development updates on Instagram. That being said, if this game looks at all appealing to you, I've left a link in the video description to the game's official website. There you can download the demo and play it for yourself, or you can make a donation to help fund VOIMA's development. You don't have to, but I'm sure this guy would appreciate it, and I do really want to play this game when it's complete. Anyways, that's the end of the video. Bye.